So let's talk about the science, right? This is a conversation with a neurorestorative sleep scientist. So let's talk about the science of sleep. Why do we need sleep? And why does the brain need a different type of sleep than the body needs? So there's a couple of things I want to touch on here. So then let's talk about natural sleep first, right? The purpose of sleep, right, for our bodies and our minds. Side note, again, I'm going to tell you, I don't feel like the body sleep is more important than the brain sleep. They work in tandem, they work together to keep us healthy as a species. That is the third requirement of living on this planet. We have to lay our bodies and our brains down naturally. Natural sleep is necessary for energy, right? We have to have energy to perform the functions in this world, right? So that's the main purpose of sleep, to restore and rebuild and rejuvenate. We have to have our bodies and our mind do the same. So there's two sleeps. There's our body sleep and our mind sleep. Our body sleep follows the sun, our circadian rhythm, which is absolutely very important. And we have neurological biochemical triggers in our brain that are activated when our bodies see the sunlight specifically. But then there's our brain sleep. Our brains need to sleep because it's a closed system. We have what's called a blood-brain barrier, and it keeps our brain safe and protected from viruses and bacteria and outside exposure of this world. However, it still needs energy to operate, right? You ever notice, like if you study real hard or you work out or you have a long day at work, how you are just so mentally exhausted, right? You know the difference. It's not like you were in the gym going hard and training. No, you are mentally exhausted, right? You found those words on your own because that's what happens. Our brains use so much energy, our average overall energy, almost 30% of it is for our brains alone. So it's a very highly functional system, but it's closed. For that reason, when it goes to sleep at night, it needs to recharge, right? So it's the energy it already has, which is called what's energy? ATP, adenosine triphosphate, right? So there's three adenosines. Every time our brain needs energy, it breaks an adenosine off a phosphate, and that's how it uses energy. It's a closed system. So it uses a lot of energy. Some days are better than others. You got a test coming up, so a couple of days prior to that, you've been cramming. You go take the test, and what happens? You crash. You go get something to eat, and you go take a nap, and you go to sleep because your brain has been on overdrive for this test. It has used so much energy. You have to go into restorative sleep to recharge and rebuild that ATP. This is why naps work so well. And this is also why they say only take 20 to 30 minutes because you don't want to deplete it to where you can't go to sleep at night. You just want a little bit of a recharge, right? You go out to your car during work, during your lunch break, whatever. I just need a quick recharge because your brain just needs a little bit more energy to get you through the rest of that day. And that is the real reason why we need to sleep. Our bodies need the same. We need to lay our bodies down to recharge and rebuild. But more specifically, for our bodies, it's muscle, right? Muscles use a large amount of energy as well. However, what is our brain? It's a muscle, right? So that is the purpose of sleep. And that is the purpose of restorative sleep, to let our brains restore and rebuild and recharge to keep our bodies healthy again. Another really big caveat is that the reason why people sometimes cannot sleep as well, especially I see this a lot with military people, police officers, people who are in high stress jobs, but more so post-traumatic stress or any traumatic type of events, it is very difficult for them to go to sleep, right? Because they have to feel safe. Your body and your brain, just as a natural mechanism, will not rest completely if you do not feel safe in your surroundings. This is a requirement. So if in a post-traumatic stress state, our bodies need to sleep in a natural type of environment. If we do not feel safe, we will not completely rest. And specifically, our brains won't rest because we need to be on the lookout for any presumed danger, right? And so sometimes people with post-traumatic stress or highly traumatic events have occurred, they won't ever feel rested, right? They will not allow their guard to go down. So a lot of our patients often suffer from post-traumatic stress disorders, and we have to acknowledge that imposed threat that they sometimes experience. So that is very important to identify if you are in those constant states of hyperarousal, right? It's a sympathetic system. Oh, well, it's both, right? It's a sympathetic and a parasympathetic system. There's always something that counters the other. It's a balance. You always want to maintain homeostasis. And that's another one of those scientific words you'll hear with sleep, or specifically neurorestorative sleep, because you want to maintain that homeostasis. If the brain is not rested, then you are in a hyper-aroused state. And the brain needs to be in a parasympathetic state, fight or flight, right? It's in flight state, a calm, relaxed environment, safe, cold and dark, they refer to sometimes with behavioral, that you need to be in to have a good sleeping experience. And those are things that people with PTSD or hyperarousal syndrome that we see don't necessarily have the ability to calm down the neurotransmitters in their brain long enough for them to get restorative sleep.